Interest rates are up, and so is my blood pressure on today's Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. All right, lights are on, mics are on, throat's cleared. How y'all doing? My name is Charles Ray Dawson. I'm the Associate Broker and Residential Sales Manager of ProStar Realty. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 131. So, sort of rushing over here because I got one of my agents is bringing in some buyers here in the next 40 minutes or so, and they're going to want to be running back into this room. You know, Molly, a couple episodes ago, she popped her head around the corner, introduced herself. So, how y'all doing? How am I doing? Well, I'm doing great. Okay. It's been, I had to get up very early this morning to get down to do some physical therapy. Physical therapist was late. I told them they had 20 minutes because I had to get out to Mesa. Took a client of mine and a friend of mine to a veterans breakfast out in Mesa. Out of all places, a memorial home, like a funeral home. Guy hosting it, really great guy, said that that's pretty much the only place you can get for free out there. And, you know, we're all going to wind up there one way or the other. So you might as well see how the place looks before you just get invited. So that was my morning. And then I came in and made another stop at a nursing home, talked to their people about some things. Not me, not you, Dad. And then, so here I am. Let's talk about what's been going on this week. All right. Numbers are the numbers. I'm going to start with this chart first before we go into it. Just going to go a little backwards here, right? And because I want to show you something really interesting. This is a listing success rate. All right. This is if you list your property, put it on the market, 180 days, how many of those houses actually sell? And as you can see back there in January, all right, we're this purple fuchsia color right here. All right, back there in January, we're running a 62% thereabouts rates. All right, and that's, 60 is considered average. All right, now, fun thing about Phoenix, Arizona. All right, same thing with anything else. Right, averages don't really mean much when you talk to Phoenix. All right, because you can see before then, as far back as April of the previous year, we were running. All right, up there in about the 92-94% range, right up there. All right, and all in 2021, we were running that rate the entire time. But remember, guys, what happened in March and April? Interest rates started going crazy, and the rates dropped. Now, with this spring fling, and I'm telling you, we have gone into a seller's market. All right, we see that pop all the way up here, but we still aren't hitting the numbers of 2021. And that's because there's not a lot of buyers out there, not as many as we had back in 21. All right. And things are falling in and out. All right. In fact, our interest rates today, as quoted by Jeff, our in-house lender, and we both had a good sob about that, is he ran the numbers on if you were a 30-year fixed conventional loan with an 800 credit score, putting 10% down, all right, you'd be getting a 7.5% interest rate. Right? So what does that mean to everybody? What that means is the it's a seller's market, but it's a slow seller's market. Let's see what's going on over here. This is our cities. Buckeye, remember Buckeye was coming up the last week when we had this conversation last week. They were sitting there, right? And it was just barely a balance moving into a seller's market, right? They have jumped up month over month, 14%. They're now at 111.6. Congratulations, Buckeye. You are now in a seller's market. And Queen Creek is continuous drop, but they are at 110. That is the break. That is the break where we can still say Queen Creek is in a seller's market. So every one of the major cities is in a seller's market, even with reduced transactions. You guys seeing this fly? I got a fly in here. He's right there. He's looking at me doing that bit with his hands. He's obviously going to try to screw up my entire recording today. All right. It's on. So that's where we're at. Seller's market, really slow. All right. Buyers, not as many buyers out there as used to be. Not as many listings are out there, which is maintaining our price pressure and everything. All right. Supply is at 48.3 still. drop it down a little bit. You notice our actives are in now at 1,100, 11,100, down 19 from the week prior. New listings came on is 1,731, up 73. Our contracts are at 2,101, which is down 80 from the previous week, and our closings are at 1,940. And as you can see here, coming soon to an MLS near you is an additional 587. All right, but let's take a look at this. 48.3 last week, we're at 48.6. So our supply is still dropping, but our demand at 78.0 is still lower than what it should be. Now, the 161.3 Crawford report number for the entire MLS is exactly the same number was the week before. So even though we had supply come down a little bit, all right, we had demand go, also come down. So, we're following each other in. What's going to fix this? That's 7.5. We got to get off that 7.5. All right. Remember that our interest rates for house purchases are connected to the bond market, and the bond market is being tracked. The 10-year bond market tends to be closely tied into what people are perceiving the inflation rate to be, and a whole bunch of other, economist stuff. So until we start seeing these interest rates go down, or we just hit that point where people just get resigned to the fact, all right, this is where we're going to be. I saw a headline earlier this week. Could not remember where I saw it after I saw it. But the article was, how far do housing need to fall before housing is affordable again? That is a really interesting question. I didn't read the article because I was in the middle of something else. All right. But remember, house prices are one thing, house payments are another. Right? You can have higher house prices with lower interest rates. That's pretty much what got us here. Right? All those 2 and 3% interest rates bid up the price of housing, pushed everything up. Plus, we still have a supply issue, especially here in Phoenix. Right? You're still going to be seeing those national articles talking about, where house prices are still low and dropping. But as you can see here in Phoenix, we're still moving up. In fact, we've recovered out of the entire little dip starting last March, and now we're at the baseline as we were before. So it's all up from here. What does this mean? I still don't see anything out there that is those signals of the crash. We don't have a lot of foreclosures. All right, there's too many things out there will try to get a house from you if you're going into foreclosure. All right, unless you bought within the last year, you're probably not upside down in your house. All right, even then, not everybody who bought last year is suddenly going to, quit making their mortgage payments. Our unemployment rate is dropping, right? Which means people are able to afford those payments. People who paid, who bought last January, not 2023, but 2022, people who bought in 2022 have a pretty sweet interest rate, right? They locked in their payments, right? And those payments are only going to change if property taxes go up and insurance rates go up. Right? But the bulk of that is going to be fixed for the next 30 years of their loan. Right? That is one of the main things about when you buy a house. Right? You are locking in that cost for the next 30 years. And then it goes away at the end of 30 years. Right? But remember, the two things that impact that, insurance rates, right, and property taxes. All right, so that's all being said, we cover the major numbers. So part of the reason why I was running around a lot this morning was mostly because, with my interactions with the VFW and everything like that, I'm having to go out and make liaison with a bunch of different organizations. Right, one of the organizations I was just out at this veterans breakfast is Veterans Affinity Group, and they're out there. Wounded Warrior program was out there to help people who were wounded in combat. All right. Unfortunately, what that means is that if you did not get that enemy marksmanship medal, or you just served, and as veterans age out, they start needing more and more support. And most people, when they think about they want to support the military, they go and they support wounded veterans. God bless them. All right. Fortunately, that means a lot of people fall through the cracks, right? This is one of those organizations that are trying to help people from falling through the cracks. And, at a certain point in life, you start looking for your big why, your big mission, all right? And, this gentleman, Rick, that I talked to, he's found his mission. God bless him. All right. Also ran into one of the people he had at that coffee was a World War II veteran who was a gunner on B-17s. All right. Anybody who knows anything about World War II and the 8th Air Force, all right, who bombed Germany, understands what kind of job that was. There was another guy there, and this really perked my ears up. All right. He was a paramarine in World War II. Now, you have to really be into... See the fly? See the fly? Missed the fly. All right. Paramarines was a Marine Corps unit that started forming up in 1940, and they were actually Marine Corps paratroopers. All right. And then they realized jumping into a jungle in a parachute is a really bad idea. All right. But they were at Guadalcanal, Bougainville. All right. And you're looking at this guy, and he looks like just a shriveled little wizened thing. And you're realizing that guy's got a lot of history behind him. All right. It's one of the really cool things about my new gig is look at this. Look at this. Hold on for a second. I am going to pause the video while I commit bug us. I got one. Realized there were two. I was ambushed. Went for the first one. Second one came at me from the flank. All right, so waiting for him to get cocky again, but he's looking there, hearing the screams of his fallen brother. Maybe he's going to second guess himself. All right, so let's go back to paramarines. All right, so one of the interesting things about this is I keep meeting these most amazing people. I mean, like, I got 2 Guadalcanal vets that I've interacted with in the last week. Last Friday, I was at the Post. We had a cootie event. We had the guys come from the state home, and I'm looking at this guy, and he's in a wheelchair, and he still looks like he can kick my ass, right? Vietnam vet, Navy SEAL, wearing the trident, and he was in an organization called a Spike Team. Google that for a story, all right? So, and it's fun. I like reaching out to people. I like helping other people. And because at a certain point, you just got to realize, okay, what the hell am I doing here? It's like, what's my legacy? So, what's your legacy? Let me tell you about somebody who's working on her legacy. There's an agent here in town, all right? And I see her branding everywhere. And she is, I literally show her marketing materials to my agents and go, check this person out. Look what she's doing. Right. I'm not going to promote her, right? Because she's an enemy agent. Right. Normally, I promote people who do really good, but she's a declared enemy. She's a declared combatant, right? She's the bad guy. She's the Sith. We're the Jedi. She's the Sith. Why do I say that? Because I see an open house sign with her name on it. Her open house signs have her branding on it. And I go in there to her open house, and she's there. Never meet your heroes. All right. So we start conversation and stuff like that. And she hands me all the marketing materials and this and that and the other thing, like she's trying to sell me the house. And I introduce myself as another agent, give her my business card, chat. And, she's talking about, and I would just say, hey, I just wanted to stop by because I saw your open house sign and I love your branding. I love what you do. And she thanks me for that and says that her mentors back in the day told her not to do it. And I'm like, don't do this. This is awesome. Why did they tell you not to be awesome? And she said, well, they didn't think it was very formal and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, oh, don't listen to them, all right? You're obviously killing it out here. And she continued. She thanked me. And, I asked her if she, a little bit inside baseball talk about marketing and metrics and this and that and the other thing. And how does that work for specific demographics? And then I mentioned that Pioneer Title with Heather King, remember her, they are starting a new agent workshop, right, for brand new agents. And I mentioned that, she's successful. I think that workshop would really benefit if she came in and sort of gave a presentation about how she did her branding. And she responded with, my mentors told me never to train your competition. All right. What I should have asked her was, are these the same mentors not to do your branding? Because they were wrong there. All right. And so I thought about that. And I understand where she's coming from. All right. When I was younger, and just let's be honest, all right? I'm in direct competition with every agent out there. All right. My agents are in competition with me. I'm in competition with them. All right. Because ultimately, we're all doing exactly the same thing. I just do it better. All right. But as anybody else. All right. We're all providing the same services. It's just a matter of that quality of service and everything. So I understand her concept is that we're all in competition, right? I used to use the term enemy agents. I drive by a sign, that's an enemy sign, right? That's a non-ProStar, that's not a Ray sign, right? But I've realized as I continued on, is that's zero-sum game thinking, right? And in this market, looking at these numbers with limited listings, limited amount of qualified buyers, it's a little thin out there. But ultimately, I believe, this is my faith that I'm working at, is that helping other people in these things, helping other agents get up and going is going to benefit me, lay down in the end. In the end, if I wanted to take it from a purely mercenary, transactional concept or relationship, all right? I've mentioned many, many times, all right? There are agents out there who do things I don't like, all right? There are agents out there who act in ways I don't act, all right? I want good agents in my industry. I want to interact with good agents in my industry. And they're not going to learn how to be good agents unless good agents, and I like to think I'm one, help them become good agents. All right. So when you teach somebody a skill set, you're not just teaching them, how to do listings and how to write this up and how to make sure you pick out the things in the house that need to be repaired and how to take your buyers out and how to make your buyers, get their needs met. You're teaching them the entire ethos, the entire philosophy, your religion, all right, of how to be a good agent, right? And just narrowing it down to a pure transactional, if you get the listing, I don't get one, you're my competition, is very short-sighted. Yes, this is an editorial. Yes, this is Ray's opinion. This might not be ProStar's opinion. Right, until I own this place. And then when I own this place, that's going to be our frickin' standard, company standards. Right? Till then, this is just a Ray thing. All right? So look for that opportunity to help people, even if they're in direct competition. All right? Because strong competition makes you stronger. All right? It doesn't matter if you're the baddest person in the playground, if you're going to a kindergarten or a preschool and kicking kids around and stuff like that. You want to be a badass, you got to go to the gym with the big guys, all right? You don't get strong unless you work out with big guys, and if there's no big guys with you, you need to go find some. I didn't mean to get ranty or anything like that, but apparently I'm repressing something on this. But hey, thanks for the therapy, guys. All right, so that being said, as you go about in your workplace, in your life space, and you go about and do your things, and this is one of those circles, when you hit that fourth circle, friends and community, all right? See out there if you can help anybody, and if you can mentor anybody, some up-and-comer. You want a better world, all right? You want to have a better world for your children, make better children, all right? So, and you're watching them in the water, and the dog, too. Dogs are stupid. They will jump in the water and not be able to get out. All right. Monsoons are here, so don't you be driving in the water. All right. Keep working your circles. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys all later.